I would get out there. I'd go to meetup.com. I would start going to some of the meetups. There's a lot of those that are really good. You can go to ones that are like certain things that are your interest. Maybe you're into vegan cooking. I don't know. Maybe you're into stock investing or something like that, right? So whatever that is, you can go and you find people. And you got to realize the why Meetup is pretty cool is because people have to get dressed up, right? They got to like put their stuff on. They got to get ready to go, and they got to go out and on a weeknight, and they're there because they're looking for something more. They want to learn something. So that's a great place that you could start right there.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
Hey, what's up, MLM Nation? I'm fired up today to bring you back one of those archives, and this person is really, really special. So anyway, it's I'm recording this on a Saturday, and we got baseball tournaments, baseball practices packed. My mom is visiting, but also very excited is in 2 days I'm gonna go see one of my best friends, one of my mentors that got me going and really pushed me and helped me become consistent early on. And I want to share this with you because I'm excited to see him. I haven't seen him in a while. We talk all the time, but haven't seen him. I think it's maybe a couple months or a year or two since I saw him. But I'm driving down there to meet and hang out with him. But he was a guy that I tell you, one of the keys to success is being consistent. And if you're not consistent, you're never going to make it. And my turning point was from struggling to being consistent, struggling to, was because he pushed me hard. And this guy is Steve Swartz. So I want to take you back to the episode way back in the day when we launched MLM Nation back in 2015. By the way, this is the 9th year of the show, going to the 10th year. You can catch all these old episodes in the archives. I've been getting a lot of good feedback. You guys have been loving them. These are timeless classics, okay? This was before TikTok was out there, before even Instagram was really even happening. But the principles are still the same, because at the end of the day, this is a relationship business. I think a lot of times people want the strategies or the latest tricks, but they only work for a certain amount of time and they stop working. But the timeless principles, if you know them, it doesn't matter what platform you use, they always will still work. And so I want to take you back to this episode. He was the man who got me going. Also, I'm excited. I'm going to see and hang out with him tomorrow on Tuesday. Since I'm hanging out, I wanted to bring you back this episode. If you go back there, I do give you a little warning. I wasn't the best. I was really nervous. But you know what? Like I said, consistency creates mastery. It was way back in 2015 when I recorded 9 years ago. But the lessons there still apply today and how to build this business part-time. So without further ado, let's go right into episode 21. Let's take the time machine back to episode 21 with Steve Swartz.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan, and I'm really excited today. Maybe I'm speaking a little faster than my normal New York speed because this is one of my best friends, Steve Swartz. We have him on the show. Steve, are you ready to make this happen?
Absolutely, Simon.
After completing his military service, Captain Steve Swartz transitioned into corporate America. Faced with the limitations of the corporate world, and after seeing his daughter going to daycare, Steve got started in his first MLM. In 2003, Steve was able to leave his corporate job for good and then made over $1 million within 5 years. Since then, Steve has achieved a multiple six-figure income through MLM for over 12 years. In 2011, Steve began a second network marketing company and is currently one of the top income earners in the entire world in that company. Steve is, as I know, is known for his awesome sense of humor and his get-it-done attitude. He currently lives with his family and 3 beautiful kids in Carlsbad, California. So, Steve, I've just given MLM Nation the brief intro, but please share a little bit more about your background and how you came across network marketing.
Well, hey, Simon, I appreciate it. You and I go really far back, and I want to just say, first of all, congratulations on your show. Everyone out there, you are listening to someone who's actually done it, and I've witnessed it from someone who just got started and really didn't know a whole lot to someone who made huge income and a great business internationally. So that's who you're getting to hear from with Simon. A little bit about my background. It'll take a couple of minutes to go through, but I think you might enjoy it. So, again, my name is Steve Swartz, and I'm a former U.S. Army officer. I spent my 20s in the U.S. Army. My growing up, though, I grew up in college sports. So, like all the football games that people watch on TV, the big schools. My dad was a coach and athletic director, so we moved around quite a bit. And so I grew up with a sports background. I played quarterback in high school for 3 years. I tried to play into junior college and then figured out it wasn't going to happen. And was kind of lost on like, what am I going to do in college? And I stumbled into the ROTC office at University of California, Santa Barbara. Didn't really know what that even was, and ended up going to like a basic training, and then took a scholarship and spent like 2 years in their ROTC training, which is reserve officer training for the U.S. Army. And that when you graduate, you become an officer. So the day I graduated from college, my new name was Second Lieutenant Swartz, and I was an armor officer, which means tanks. And I went to the initial officer course, and then went to Korea. This was like 1994. And what I ended up spending a year there. I went back to Fort Hood, Texas from Korea. And I had a lot of great experiences. I was in charge of second in command of over 300 soldiers in a headquarters company for a tank battalion. All of those responsibilities at a young age are amazing. And, it's pretty cool stuff that I was doing, from like basically 23 to 25, to about 30 years old. I found myself making, slides for generals, PowerPoints and that kind of stuff. And I said, you know what? I want to do something different. And by the way, while I was in the military, I was doing the things like buying the Carlton Sheets, no money down. I was buying real estate. I would attend Tony Robbins seminars. So my friends were like, what are you doing? And, I'd run off to walk on coals with Tony Robbins, at his different seminars. So I was always looking for personal development, and kind of had this idea that I wanted to make more income. So I got around real estate. I thought that's the way it was going to go. And so I had about 3 or 4 properties while I was an officer. And what happened is when I was getting out, you guys may not know, but junior military officers are recruited pretty heavily into corporate. And so my friends were doing things like going into the FBI. I went to the job fairs. We're doing all those things. But one of the things that happened to me was I was like, well, what am I going to do? All right. I sold some real estate. My wife was pregnant, which is probably not the smartest thing to do to get out of the military when you're pregnant. But I was like, you know what? I got to do it. I got to get out. And I remember reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he said you need to own your own business. And I was like, well, okay, well, what do I do? And I wasn't sure. So I started, if you can imagine, a gift basket franchise. I bought a little gift basket franchise for like $3,500. Then we bought vending machines for $5,000. And, I was running around. Here I am delivering gift baskets. My wife's pregnant. I'm coaching, by the way, college football for free. I decided to do that at a small college outside of Fort Hood called Mary Hardin Baylor. And I was coaching football there, delivering gift baskets, chasing quarters around in vending machines. Meanwhile, my friends are like, hey, Steve, I just got into the FBI Academy. Hey, Steve, I'm going to law school. Hey, Steve, you know what? I just got accepted into Harvard Business School. And here I am doing this stuff. Everyone's like, what are you doing? So I was kind of like, you know what? I want residual income. And really what I was faced with a lot of people are faced with, is I didn't have cash flow that would replace my, $50,000 a year Army salary. And so I needed cash flow. And that's where I kind of had started to look. I was like, okay, well, what do you do? And the Rich Dad book led me to a book called Multiple Streams of Income, which the author was actually in a network marketing company, Robert Allen. And I was like, wow, he's saying this is a great stream of income. I kind of had some baggage about network marketing because my friends had tricked me into meetings when I was in the Army. And I was like, what is this all about? I wasn't sure about it. But when an author was like, you know what, this is one of the best, simplest, fastest ways to make more income. He was speaking my language. I didn't. So I was like, wow, I got to do this. And all of this was happening in a couple of months after me leaving, right after I got out in like September. We're talking by like, January, I ended up getting a job at Dell Computer in Austin, big company. Most people say it's a great job. I took my first paycheck and actually got started in network marketing on a very part-time basis. And that's really how I found out about it. And that's how I got started. And I built it around my Dell salary, Dell, my job, which I worked a lot of hours, crazy hours at Dell. And I ended up deciding that, you know what, I don't need to do this gift basket thing. I gave the vending machines away, chalked it up as learning experiences. And I really got focused on my network marketing business by going to their first convention, seeing them and seeing a company that was like, wow, this is a big company. Let me really focus on this. And I ended up, about a year, I started making some decent income, $3,000 a month. And I had a $3,000 a week, which was more than my Dell salary, raise for the year. Like Dell said, oh, you got this great raise. I'm like, man, I just made more than that last week in my network marketing company. And so I built that around while I was working at Dell. I was making like $15,000 a month in my network marketing business. And I was making about $7,000, from a month from my corporate job. And so in 2003, I was like, you know what, I'm out of here. So I just decided I didn't make any grandstands or any big announcements. I just said, you know what, guys, I appreciate you letting me work here. And I went full time in 2003. And kind of the rest has been history. That's how I got started, Simon.
So, Steve, I know you're really busy working at Dell. How many hours a week did you work at Dell?
Oh, well, I was salary at Dell. And so, what here's what I would say to people. Don't tell people to quit their jobs too soon. I think a lot of people and I'm going to tell you about the hours. The hours were crazy. I worked second shift. So that meant that I had to go to work, and I lived an hour away at first. So I'd have to drive. I'd leave my house like 2:00 in the afternoon, drive for an hour down to Austin from Fort Hood, and basically start the shift at 4. And then it was supposed to go till 12:30, but we always had overtime. So I would be working till 2:30 in the morning. And then you're totally exhausted, right? And so then I would be like, oh my gosh, I got to drive home in this little Geo Metro horrible car. And I would be driving home, get home at 3:30 in the morning, go to sleep, wake up, go listen to some personal development, go for a walk to get my energy levels going. And then I'd start making phone calls. And then at night at Dell, while I was working at Dell, I couldn't go do hotel meetings because I was at work. So I would be inviting people on my way to work, on my way to work during the day. And then at my lunch break, I would just go eat my lunch for 5 minutes, sit in a parking lot, and just make like as many calls as I could do in 45 minutes. And then I'd go back. And I did that 5 days a week, every day at Dell. And, that's how I got my 6-figure income part-time.
That's such an awesome story. One of the things that people ask me often is, how many prospects should you talk to a day? So with that crazy schedule, you made it happen through the nicks and crannies of the day. How many prospects would you be able to talk to on the way to work or in the parking lot?
Well, back then, I don't know that I was counting how many I was trying to do. I was just trying to get work in. I was trying to if there would be some days that were so crazy that you're like, man, I just got to get outside, and I would make 2 phone calls in 15 minutes. And that would keep me in the game, right? Because the corporate world and all that, I didn't want to go sit around with the managers and all that because they talk about gossip. They weren't moving forward. I knew my dad was a pretty smart guy. What he did, he still is this very smart guy. And what he told me is, that job you're doing at Dell, it's kind of like a waiter is waiting on tables. It's not your career. You're doing it to keep income coming in, but you're really working on your big break, which to me was going full-time in network marketing. So how many did I talk to a day? I wanted to get like 10 conversations a day if I could. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. Not I called 10 leads and no one answered. I wanted to get conversations with people.
So didn't your colleagues thought you're weird? So you never really, seems like you never had time to eat lunch with them or hang out with them, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't really care, like they were like, I was like, man, I'm the one that didn't have a great plan that got myself into what I call the matrix in there. And so, you know what? I really didn't care. I stopped when I did really well in network marketing. I stopped really caring what other people thought of me. And I think that's really like a thing where you're not like tied to the outcome of what's going on, and you don't really care. Like if I call you and you think I'm a scammer, I don't really care. Like that's your problem. Hey, you know what? My intention is to help you. And if you don't like me, well, whatever. And I used to be real caught up in all that, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? And that's what kept me really slow at the start, where I really didn't do much for the first 8 months in the business. I made a few $100 here and there, but really didn't go all out. And so when I made that decision, which was seeing my daughter go to daycare while I'm like kind of diddling around with my network marketing business, I'm like, you know what? you've been doing this. I'm going to hit it right now. And I told my wife was going to be working at this daycare. She actually was working there for like 3 days. And I was like, you know what, forget this. And I said, you're fired. You're never going back there again. And I made like $1,000 that week. I said, you're never going to have to work there again. And I just kept that going. And that's when I started making really good money. That was about the first year I was working in part-time on my network marketing business and working. And by the way, Dell also, I had to work Saturdays too. I mean, we had a lot of Saturdays where we would work. And it was crazy.
I'm laughing. It's so funny when you said that. You fired your wife. You said you're not allowed to go back to daycare anymore.
She's like, she's like, I was like, what? You're not going to need a resume. Who cares? Like, you're gone, so forget it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So you have such a strong mindset. I mean, before you discovered network marketing, you talked about your friends who got into the FBI, gone to Harvard, into business school. Did that discourage you, or you just like, forget them, I'm just going to keep going and pursue my vision? What was going through your mind?
Well, first of all, okay, I grew up in sports. So, if you played sports, a lot of times I think you have advantage, especially if you play team sports. And so, you got to practice. Like I played quarterback. That is like a lot of dedication. You can't just like walk out there the day before the season and start. You got to practice a lot if you're going to really be good at it. And so I used to work out with college athletes. And, I knew that you had to have dedication to get anything done. Then as a military officer, we don't lose, like we don't fail. You may beat us for a second, but we're going to take you out eventually. That's the way our mindset is. And so for me, that strong background really kept me in the game, kept me in the game. I was like, you know what? There's a times where I wanted to quit a little. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't going right or whatever. But I didn't really feel like I had another option. The fact that I was listening to people in corporate that had been there, so many years, and they were really doing stuff. Matter of fact, when my first 3 weeks at Dell, they had a layoff. And I was like, they didn't lay us off because we just got there and they needed us for what we were doing. But I saw people that had spent 20 years in corporate America, working at various different companies. And if you really ask them, they hated what they were doing. And now they got fired. Some of them had 6-figure incomes and now their incomes are gone. I was like, man, there's no way I'm going on this route. So that really like made me, say, I have to do this and I'm going to win. And we're not going to just give up and quit. And jump into 5 different things or whatever. You're gonna, stick it out. And so, that's really my background on it. That's the mindset is make it happen. That's what that's my biggest thing is I would say is, get it done, make it happen, complete the mission. You think of it that way.
You talked about quitting and the challenges. Can you take us back to one of the worst or most frustrating moments in your MLM journey and the lessons you learned? Because I think a lot of distributors, they encounter challenges. It's like the end of the world. They quit, and they don't realize it's like during the tough times is when you learn the most. So take us back to one of the worst and toughest moments in your MLM journey.
Oh man, I think there's a couple, right? I remember the one that really stung right away is, here I am, Army officer, with you're thinking of all the, duty, honor, country, all those things, right? And so I'm on the phone talking to prospects, like, you're a scammer, and I was like. I was so mad, and I got like I wasn't, I just would react like not in a positive way, right? I couldn't repeat what I would say to that person, and so I had to learn to say, you know what, let all that go. So that was one thing, I kind of had to let my, like ego and all of that stuff get out of the way. But one of the things is when I went full time, and this is really where I started working actually with you at the time, is I had been working with these people, and I figured everyone was like in the military. If I was in the military and I talking to Sergeant Johnson, I said, Johnson, hey, I needed to get this done. It would get done, right? Like, hey, you said you're going to do this. You would do it, right? It's not going to be, oh, well, I didn't get around to it. It would have happened, right? There's just no way, right? And so, the people in the military were amazing, and they were just awesome. And so when I went with all these, so then I'm working with people that didn't have that background. And so they would say they're going to do something and then they wouldn't do it. They would say that, I'm really building my business strong. And I'd go hang around with them and they weren't doing anything. And I was putting all this energy and getting frustrated with people because, I was like, why aren't they doing this? And you know what? It wasn't the company. It wasn't the thing. It was just the person wasn't going to do it. They weren't doing it. So I was investing my time with these people that really weren't deserving of it. And they actually ended up leaving Matter of fact, your sponsor quit and went to another company. And that's when I looked down the line and I said, you know what, I'm going to find a winner down there. I called you, talked to you for a few minutes, and I was like, this is the guy right here. I already know it. And so, and so I would say that, that was frustrating. Oh my gosh, you went full time and now these people have left your team and oh my gosh, and what's going to happen? And I thought, oh, all these people are going to quit and they're going to join some other company and then my income's going to go down and I just quit my job. What's going to happen? And that, what ended up happening is I actually made way more money right after they all left because they were just a bunch of drama. Basically. That's basically the truth.
Was that one of your biggest aha moments? It's just like you have to work with the right people and not with the ones that suck up your time, energy. And like sometimes, you're working with these distributors, they say they want to do things and they don't. And then you end up like want to like, after you talk to them, you want to smash your cell phone, you don't even want to talk to them.
Yeah, I know, man. It is so crazy. And so, yeah, absolutely. What I learned is that, and then it got told to me later by my really good friend, who's like, one of the best people in all of network marketing, Tim Sales. What really it is, everyone wants the comp plans and all these different things and whatever. But what I realized is you have to invest in people, right? People are your asset in network marketing. And so you got to build the relationships, not so much build the comp plan, but build the relationships with people and work with people that are deserving of it. And the best way to look at it is basically, unfortunately, it comes with experience. My best thing is the worst thing I ever do is when I go against my gut. Like, oh, that something's telling me don't do this, don't work with this person or don't do this. And I don't listen to that gut instinct. That's what's always, basically come back to bite me. And so I would say, the big aha moment is really work with people and help them become, whatever the people that want to make six figures, help them get that done.
So. Awesome. Can you take us to the moment that you would consider your proudest in MLM?
Well, I mean, I'm here with you. One of them was, seeing you, and all the things that you accomplished. That was huge. And there was other people as well. Those are really cool things. And, you feel like you had a part in it. But I think recently, I started a new company about 3 years ago and didn't know. I mean, I started from scratch. I didn't swing over a team or any of that kind of stuff. I had to get back in the trenches and get bruised up on the phones and, all of those things like that. And, and then, there's a lot of talkers. There's a lot of people that say they're going to do this and that, and they don't do anything, or they come in and act like they're the king and all these things. And so I just put my head down and went to work. And because I did that, I'm in a company that actually rewards the top leaders with basically a partnership. So you become like an owner of the company. And so this is called a founders club in my company. And so basically I got awarded that. I'm one of 15 people in the world who forever will share in the profits of the United States market. That's big. I mean, that's besides your commissions. I'm actually like a part owner, but without the headaches of, being the corporate owner. And so probably that accomplishment's my best thing I've ever accomplished in network marketing.
One of the things I really respect about you, Steve, you talked about when you started your second company, going from scratch. Yeah, I saw you. You had mentioned you saw me grow. I also seen you grow over the years as well. And I commend you for doing it the right way. Like you didn't take any of your existing downlines over. And at one point you were getting paid from both of the companies until you sold all the business, right? And so I commend you for that. I really respect you for doing that. Like you started the business totally from scratch. You didn't take your downlines over, and you did it the right way. So thank you for doing that and setting such a great example.
Well, you're welcome, and I didn't see the point, I mean, people were, I thought the people were pretty much ingrained in what they were doing. And so, they're not going to switch over. And you know what? I wanted a fresh start. I wanted fresh ideas. I wanted fresh everything. So, there's more than just people. So if you're in a company, you're thinking switch over, whatever you're going to do, whatever, that's pretty, I've seen a lot of lame stuff over the last 3 years, having been in a newer company. And people getting bought into companies, people, taking people in this company, that company. I'm like, you know what, just forget it. If you're any good, you're going to be able to build it. And that's basically what we've done. And so, it's, and that's just what happened. So.
No, I love you. I love your quote. If you're any good, you're going to build it. And it's so true. And it goes back to your mindset about law of abundance, right? If you really believe in the law of abundance, there's tons of people out there who have never heard of network marketing. And if you got it, if you're really good, you can easily build it from scratch again.
Well, that's I appreciate that, and so that's really the case, And I'm not saying I'm the best. My gosh, I got a lot of things to work on. Are you kidding me? Of course. And we're always working on things, and sometimes we're like, man, like I think one of the things that I learned from Tim Sales is, and actually I learned it in the military. You're really about one step ahead of everybody. Right. Like, and you may look like you're the one there talking, but you're up there in front and, people look at you like you got it all squared away. You look all great. But meanwhile, the leader usually it's like you got all these things going on. You're not sure. You're trying to make these different decisions. It's kind of like you see the duck just gliding across the lake or the swan, but underneath their feet are moving like crazy. Stuff's happening. Things might even be attacking them below. And you don't notice that stuff. Right. So, one of the things is, as with my military background, really don't let people see you sweat. Right. And even if things are not going great, you don't project that, you keep yourself positive, and, that is a huge factor in your success, and also have a long-term goal. Everybody wants to kick butt right now, but people don't like to pay the price. You and we paid the price. There's a lot of people that talk about network marketing that they're really not. We were actually, my organization was probably one of the first teams to ever build with the internet. I'm talking like and I wasn't even the smart guy on it. There was other people that in our team. And then, of course, you guys came in and did it as well. But we're one of the first teams that ever really used the internet, but we actually built network marketing. We didn't, trash network marketing and then pretend we're trainers and never really have built a company and then claim to be network marketing gurus. I mean, that all started in like the mid 2000s till even now, people keep doing that stuff. And so I'm like, man, and I've been around a lot of people. There's a lot of affiliate marketing. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of ways that you can make income, but there's very few businesses that actually create a residual for you. And that's what network marketing does. And that's why it beats every single other type of business, in my opinion, is because of the residual income factor.
You bring back such old and good memories, though, in terms of building online. I remember we were doing webinars before webinars were even work. Like, people couldn't even get like the audio or the slides. The slide would be 15 seconds, 15 minutes off. Yes, those good times. So what excites you most about the industry right now?
Well, there's a lot of room for people. There's a lot of people that are looking for opportunity, and they're still out there, right? People are still getting. I was just talking to a person yesterday, and they're faced with the same stuff that's always been going on. Their business failed, their traditional business failed. Now they're looking at having to go back into the corporate. They're going to have to leave their kids. They have the same issues now than they had before, and so that's what's got me excited. There's also some things that'll be coming down the pike. I don't want to give away yet, but they will definitely be. Well, I think you're going to see the industry change a lot in the next year, 2 years, for the good. And again, I don't want to give anything away right now, but I do work with some pretty high impact people, and so I think you're just going to see a lot of great things there. And I think our business model from network marketing, this profession, is just it's just going to get bigger. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's an easy way to get started in a company and started in an income. And I heard where it's going to be overtaking franchising as the number one way people are earning income. MLM is by 2024, somewhere in there. And so I totally see that. So I'm really excited about that. We're still like this whole business model's been around for a while, but it's advancing. And to me, it's the smartest way to make money.
As we go towards the second part, towards the end of the show, some really quick questions, Steve. What was stopping you? You had mentioned about you had been approached by some friends about network marketing. What happened? Because I know you were turned off by it initially. So I think Ray Higdon talked about in a previous show that he was turned off by network marketers, but then got turned on by network marketing. Right? The industry is awesome, but poorly trained distributors is what kind of screws it up for people. So what was your experience like? What stopped you? And what did your friends, how did they invite you that gave you that negative first impression?
Well, I mean, they knew that I was like entrepreneurial, like minded, doing real estate, attending stock seminars. I mean, I was doing all these different things like that, whatever I could do. And so they told me I was coming to an investment seminar. So I think I'm going to an investment seminar, and it ended up being like this kind of a pep rally type situation where people were clapping and saying, "You can do it." And I was like looking around. I was like, "What the heck is this?" And so, being lied to, just be straight up with people. So you can say, "Hey, I'm working on a project. I thought you may want to see it. I'm pretty excited about it. When can I sit down and talk with you about it?" And then that would be better, and say, versus tricking somebody, right? Tricking is what amateurs would do. And, and then, begging me to switch services and stuff like that. I mean, just, it was just a little bit lame, and they were poorly trained. That's all I can say. And so, the communication is going to be ultimately where you're going to make or break it in network marketing.
What's the one habit that's helped you become successful?
One habit. Well, consistency, right? Consistency and tenacity, like, getting it done no matter what, but really learning how to talk to people effectively. And some people are like, wait, I mean, you need to learn how to talk to me. But anyway, I mean, like communication, really, right? Like, what do you say to a prospect? What do you do? And my desire to become a really good inviter, and always be working on that, even today, working on that skill is the reason I am where I am.
I love that. The focus on the one skill. I really love that. Do you have a favorite success quote that's motivated you throughout the years or recently?
Oh man, there's so many quotes. I just say, "Get it done" by me. That's me. Just get it done.
I love it. So there you go. MLM Nation, "Get It Done" by Steve Swartz. You should trademark that.
I'm sure it's already trademarked. But anyways.
And what's the best piece of advice you ever got?
Focus, focus on, I would say that a lot of people are scattered, right? There's people that think they can build two companies at once. Doesn't happen. Probably nobody, but maybe one person's ever done that. So don't even think you're going to do that. So the best advice is to focus all your attention onto this as much as you can, all right? And treat it as all the time, especially if you're not able to do it all the time and you have a job to go to, like at Dell. Like when I was walking around Dell and having to do all those things, I was doing that, and I did a good job. I did a good job at that. We were leading our way in there, and I did good. I did well at that. But while I was there, I was always thinking, okay, I got to talk to this prospect. I got that person. I would be texting somebody. This is way before even texting was really going on. But I was doing that kind of stuff, always focused. Just really focus in on what you want, and then put all your efforts into that singular focus. Right. Get that mission accomplished. Basically, that's what you got to do. A lot of people today are so scattered around. That's the problem.
I want to add something. Before I said that you had built and had two successful MLM business, but MLM Nation, just understand that Steve had built one up already and was basically on autopilot, 6-figure residual income coming in every Monday. The checks would just be coming in before he started his company. He didn't start two companies at the same time. So if you ever think about doing two companies, one for this product, one for that product, no, don't do it because it doesn't work. You have to focus. Steve, what's your favorite prospecting tool that you use? Do you have one? Like, do you use like a newsletter, a webinar, online videos, or what do you do?
I usually like to invite people to online videos. I'm not a big, because I grew up in this business, not being able to do presentations. I know some people just love to sit down at Starbucks and that's how they do it. And that's good. I'm not going to tell you to do that. If that's how your team rolls, then do it. Okay. You want something that people can easily do. So if I sit there and wow you for 30 minutes, Simon, and I can answer every question, you're probably looking at me like, oh my gosh, how do I do that? So I would rather invite people to look at information, like a video, a webinar. I would say use multiple tools, okay? Have your bread and butter, but have something that you can say, hey, you know what? Check this out. And then let them look at it and then follow up with them and make sure you do follow up and set that appointment the right time. And then, make sure you're doing that. So online videos have always been what I've used because I can invite a lot more people to online videos than sitting there and doing 5 presentations a day. I can get 20 people invited to a video and follow up with them and talk to more people than you could. Matter of fact, part-time, I was out doing most everybody full-time. Let's just be straight up. It's because I had my time management down. But in those times, I wasn't like, checking my email and making a website. I was inviting you to something. I was following up with you. And I just stayed in that mode. Bam, bam. That's what I did. And that's what I still do now as you're building a new team.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. It's about focus, MLM Nation, focus. I see so many distributors, they're doing all these little things, but they don't make money, right? If you actually gave up everything and just focus on what Steve did, which is learning how to invite more people. And I love the way you said it. I think because you lead by example. You can do more part-time than most people do full-time. And you get paid by how productive you are in terms of how many people you can invite. It's all about the inviting and the prospecting process and focusing on that. So thank you for sharing that, Steve.
Oh, you bet.
Do you have a favorite app that you like or any online resources like a Dropbox, Evernote that you could recommend to our listeners?
Oh, man, I'm not super techie. I would just say that, I use Skype every day to talk to people from, Europe to all over the United States, different countries. And so I don't know. I know that's old school a little bit kind of now, but I would say Skype is what I use a lot. I use it all over the place while I'm driving. Matter of fact, while I'm driving, because I live by Pacific Coast Highway and stuff, I help motivate people. I'm like, hey, check it out. We're at the beach. You know what I mean? And I'm like, they're like over in Ireland or something like that. And it's like, I don't know. I just like to do that because you kind of like, they get to see the lifestyle. Plus you're communicating with them. Plus you're always there. So I use Skype a lot.
Yeah, I love Skype. It's much better than a phone call because you have like the face-to-face and it builds and creates, builds on that relationship, the face-to-face aspect.
Yep.
What's one book you could recommend to MLM Nation?
Come on. This one will actually help you in your business, right? So if you're talking to somebody and they're not sure about whatever, because you know how people are, it's just the way it is. So one of them, the one that turned my, obviously Rich Dad was great and everyone's talked about that book, but that one really spoke to me because Robert Kiyosaki was actually in the military. And a side note, by the way, I actually in my newer business, I actually enrolled the guy that hired Robert Kiyosaki at Xerox. Can you imagine? He actually was like, he has pictures of Robert Kiyosaki's wedding, Wow. And so he's like, yeah, I hired him at Xerox. And, we were both in the Marines. And so, so I read that book and that resonated with me about how you need to think differently than and go back and read it again. If you read it a long time ago, go back and read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and also the cash flow quadrant. Because guess what? He tells you have to get a B type business. When I was in the Army, I was buying investment properties, meaning I was going from the E quadrant, employee to investor, not the right move. A lot of people got destroyed by that in 2008. So those books pull that out. You want to go, and you don't want to be self-employed where you're the one doing all the work. You want a B quadrant business. There's 3 ways to do it. You make a big company like Dell. Most people aren't going to do that. And then there's, but they could do it. Then there's franchising, but I couldn't afford a real franchise. And then there's network marketing, which to me gives you a better lifestyle than someone that has a franchise, and you can make more income and it doesn't cost as much. So that's all in the cash flow quadrant. So I would totally tell you to use that and use that to your advantage as an asset in building your business.
And Steve, here's the last question, the $1 million question. Imagine you were forced to start all over again and you knew no one, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you would do to find prospects and build an MLM business from scratch?
Well, I already did that. I mean, of course, I knew some people, so I did talk to them. But what I would do is I would get out there. I'd go to meetup.com. I would start going to some of the meetups. There's a lot of those that are really good. And you don't have to go to ones that are like entrepreneurial ones. You can go to ones that are like certain things that are your interest. Maybe you're into vegan cooking. I don't know. Maybe you're into stock investing or something like that, right? So whatever that is, you can go and you find people. And you got to realize the why meetup is pretty cool is because people have to get dressed up, right? They got to like put their stuff on. They got to get ready to go, and they got to go out and on a weeknight, and they're there because they're looking for something more. They want to learn something. So that's a great place that you could start right there. And of course, I'd have the skills to invite and learn about people. So I'd be good to go there. And so I would just start there, meetup.com.
Awesome. Steve, as we wrap up, do you have any last words or advice? And then what's the best way our listeners can connect with you?
Yeah, the biggest advice to everybody is just, MLM is the best. I don't care what you see out there. I was sitting I was with somebody. I was actually with Ray Higdon, right? And Ray's like, you know what? Ray's a friend of mine, and I was with him a few days ago, and he says, ultimately, obviously, I've got a lot of great businesses, and a lot of people have great businesses as far as training materials and all that. But ultimately, he says, my residual, the best residual I have is going to be my network marketing business. And so, really realize that that is the key. So do everything towards building that. And if you want to make, sales tools and all of that from what you learn in network marketing, then that's awesome. Go for it. But don't make sales tools for network marketers if you haven't ever really made it in network marketing. I'm really over that, by the way. So I would say focus all your efforts, build your company up. If it's not going well, find one that, that could go well, because sometimes you got to change things up a little bit maybe, but stay focused. Stay focused 100% into your network marketing business, even if it's on a part-time basis. Really focus on that and build it. And as you get better, it gets easier, right? As you get better, it always gets easier. And if you guys want to connect with me, I've got a pretty cool website called militarytomillions.com. There's no company on there or anything like that. It's just something I'm doing for the military, showing veterans how they can, achieve success through a home-based business, not just go to the corporate and go all those different things. So Military to Millions, that's TO, militarytomillions.com.
MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you've been hanging out with Steve Swartz. And so keep up the momentum and go to MLMNation.net and type in Steve at the search bar, and the show notes will pop right up. In order to be successful in network marketing, you must help others. So Steve, thanks again for setting such a great example. MLM Nation is grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. And MLM Nation, Simon Chan, listen to what he has to say. He's actually done it internationally. I've seen him go from someone who was making like really hardly any money to making way more money. He actually out-earned me in my previous company, which I think is incredibly cool.
Thanks again, Steve.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Hey, so there you go. Hope you enjoy that. And by the way, since then, Steve keeps on hitting income. He's one of the, I always joke about, he's the laziest networker, but also the smartest networking leader out there. Good friend. And you definitely go follow him on social media. You may even see a picture of us two hanging out next week. But go check it out. Go follow him and apply the principles that he taught you. Okay, those are timeless principles that still work today. If you like these episodes, make sure you go to the MLM Nation archives. Again, we have so many podcasts out there right now. That the first 300 episodes, Apple iTunes made us create a separate archive album. So that's why you can see them there. But we have timeless classics from Danny Johnson to Ray Higdon to the legends, Jordan Allen. They're all on there. So just search for MLM Nation archives in your favorite podcast app. You can see them there. Or just head over to MLM Nation and with the complete list of almost 800 episodes now on there. Anyway, thank you so much. Give me the feedback. Let me know if you like these. And don't forget, it takes a lot of time to record them. Definitely follow Steve. Leave us a review on Amazon. Apply what you learned and go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.